welcome to Running is Bullshit. I'm Amy.
And I'm Stuart, and you're listening to the podcast that loves to hate running. This is episode 128, and in the opening section, where I allude to the upcoming seemingly unrelated subjects to come, and finish on a funny one, which could be an innuendo, I'm going to mention snow in California, metal styles, glasses no one's heard of, and a long dick, because that's how you start podcasts.
Yep.
First up today, the greatest lies ever told. We're coming straight in with the hot topics. You know when people say nothing is impossible? Absolute bullshit, and it's something I'm getting a bit sick of, because it's like, you know, leading on from the runfluencing thing and the whole inspiration thing, which, you know, we're very anti-inspiration around here. When people, they do something really good and they'll come out in the video at the end, they'll be, if you set your mind to it, you can achieve anything. You just need to believe in yourself. And, you know, I kind of understand this thing you need to tell people, this thing you need to tell kids, that they can do things that they didn't expect. But to say nothing is impossible, okay, you are dealing with an absolute there. If you said nothing is impossible, that's clearly bollocks. Mainly when I was thinking about this, I saw a documentary about a guy who did all of like the tallest peaks in the world, like the 14 highest peaks in the world. And like previously, the record for that was like 16 years. And this guy did it in 7 months, which like everyone in the mountaineering community said was absolutely absurd. And this guy's like, nothing is impossible. You can do everything. So I was like, all right, do it in 7 days. Do it in 7 hours. You know, if you're going to say nothing's impossible, like I said, that's an absolute. And if I say do it in 7 hours, they're going to say, well, you're just being silly now. I said, yeah, but you said nothing. If you're saying nothing, you mean nothing.
But also, it's like not acknowledging when some things are very unlikely to be successful. Like, it's okay, like lottery winners could say nothing is impossible, you know, we won the lottery, you can do it too.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, I'm not going to run a 2-hour marathon. That is impossible. All right, that is impossible. There's no amount of inspirational videos that's going to make me run a 2-hour marathon. That's absurd. But when you say that to someone, they'll say, oh yeah, but obviously not that. But if you're going to say nothing is impossible, you can achieve anything. Come on, you need to be a bit more realistic in your ridiculous inspiration.
Definitely.
I've got more today. I've got a load of written down here. There's something else I said a little while ago. It ties in a bit with, you know, the influencer chat we had before as well. There's plenty of people on Instagram who think that an attitude is a replacement for training, and I think that's very dangerous.
I love that.
Yeah, people who set these like enormous lofty goals and they're like, I just have to believe in myself. I have to get it done. There are people out there that might be fitter than me, but I know I can go the extra mile. Like, yeah, but do you? Do you though? Because, you know, if you haven't actually put yourself in that situation, saying you can put yourself through anything is very different from actually doing it. And the problem is, I found this as well, and I find this a lot. And again, actually, none of this is targeted. This is just kind of a vibe I get from things that people send me. You spend all this time talking yourself up, and you are surrounded by social media inspiration hunters. It's ultimately a win-win. Like, it's actually quite a good thing to do in a way, because even if you fail, you can talk yourself up. You're going to do this massive thing. I'm incredible. This is going to be great. Even if you fail, which you may well do if you haven't actually done the training for it, you can just say, you know, it wasn't my day. I put myself out there. And it wasn't my day. In the end, it beat me. And everyone then heap praise on you for making the effort and being brave. And, you know, you set this goal and you did your best. So even if you fail, if you talk yourself up the right way, when you fail, people will still give you all the praise that you deserve. And that annoys me.
Yeah, because the other thing is as well, where they're like, you've been brave, you've done this, that. It is just running, even if you're doing quite something people would consider extreme, like you're running ultra marathons, like the vast majority of the population consider that quite extreme, or whatever it might be. It is still a hobby. You're not brave for having a go and not finishing. Like, you might be sad about it. Like, when I didn't finish my 50 miler, I was quite sad about it at the time. I was sad because I was really unwell and delirious, so I posted a picture of myself, like, pretty much crying at the side of the road. But, you know, this just shows the sort of people that I have following me in a good way, but no one's like, you're so brave for starting, because, like, it's not. I just had to go. Like, it's not deeper than that. I don't understand this narrative of, just put yourself out there. It just seems so disingenuous in a way.
And and what did failing do? You didn't lose anything.
No,
you gave someone a call and they come and picked you up in a car.
Yeah.
And you didn't get a medal at the end.
Yeah. If I'd gotten lost and I had to fight for my life and kill a rabbit and eat a rabbit raw, you know, and make a little tent out of that little foil blanket you carry with you, maybe people could say I was brave then, but not, I was on a course, people knew where I was, didn't manage to do it. Someone came and picked me up. Bit sad I didn't finish, but relieved that it was like, it wasn't that deep, even for something that a lot of people would consider quite extreme. It's not that deep,
Yeah, and it's the other thing about this is, the event itself. The event is always built up. This is the thing I'm going to do, and like obviously something like the Dragon's Back obviously is very, very hard. But probably what is harder in a way is a year of training, like a year of actual training, getting up at 5 a.m, doing 25 miles up the mountains for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks when you don't want to. That is so hard, and that is probably harder than the event itself over a long period of time. So just to say, I'm just going to do it on the day, I'm going to get there and I'm going to do the event, it's the training is so important. And just going on, again, even more, and this is going to be a slightly controversial one, which is fun. This is a trend, I think, and it's if you're running, you attach yourself to a charity, you can do or say anything you want with impunity because you're doing it for charity. Now, big disclaimer straight away. This is definitely not every charity runner. I know we're clearly right in the middle of marathon training season, and there'll be a lot of people here running for charities. That is good. You are good people doing it for good reasons, I'm sure. This is very much edge cases. This is definitely people on the extremes, and those get really, really amplified on social media. So it's those real edge cases that are noisy that we hear a lot about. Now, and what I mean again is what I said before, you can set any kind of insane goal you want, do any level of training, but most importantly, if you attach a story or a narrative to every single run you do, and these runs are always described as steady as well, it's on Strava, it's always a steady run, no matter the distance or the pace. And this way of running just becomes really obsessive because you run to share. You do the run, there's a story because, this has happened, but I did the run and then I felt better and everything's great and I've had a terrific run. It was a great, steady run. And it becomes a bit obsessive, but I think, unfortunately, a lot of running is just running. Yeah. It really is. You can't enjoy every run. Every run cannot be magic and rainbows and, it made me feel better and now I feel great. Because a lot of running, if you're doing it a lot, if you're training for something very serious to really push yourself, I don't think you should enjoy a lot of those runs. You shouldn't enjoy, maybe a majority, but there's a decent amount of those you are not going to enjoy because you just have to do them if you want to train properly. And I don't think there's much to say about most normal runs. And everyone who says every run is amazing and positive, it just feels a bit dishonest to me. Again, I'm really apologising to all those people who do actually really enjoy running. At the same time, like throwing in one video in 50 where you have a little cry and say everything is hard might get you praise for honesty. But when you look at the whole series of videos, it just feels a bit exploitative. It's like, if I throw in a crying video, I'll get some likes and people will be like, but they're real, really.
Yeah, well, those people on Instagram, those runfluencers on Instagram that post paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs after every run. Like, I like taking pictures. So I probably post pictures every time I run, but I'm like, I saw a horse, and that's it. Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not like trying to be inspirational.
There's a photo of a horse, and of course, you always have to say, made a friend.
Yeah.
Because I saw a horse.
Yeah, love it. But I'm not going to post paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs about my run.
It doesn't mean that much, does it? It was just a run. You just went for a run, and it was nice.
And I saw
That's
a
fine.
horse.
That's fine. That's normal.
Yeah.
And another thing about charity runners, unless it's a weird, stupid record attempt, how come people never attach times to charity races? It is always, I will complete a half marathon or a marathon or an ultra, or I'll do this many marathons in this many months. No one ever says I'm going to run a PB for charity. And I think I would respect someone more for saying they wanted to take 20 seconds off their mile PB than just jog around their 25th half marathon. This is where I feel like a real dick. Now, I don't want to say a marathon is easy, because it's clearly not. Completing a marathon, I would say, is doable for most runners. Not in a good way. I know, no one's, a lot of people aren't going to enjoy that marathon if they're just grinding it out. And it might be 12 hours. But like walking for that time and distance and grinding it out is something I think most runners could do if they absolutely had to. Put aside people with like long-term injuries and niggles, things like that. Most people, I think possibly even most people you see on the street, if they had to, could walk for 10 hours straight and do a marathon. So again, I'm not talking anyone down. I'm not saying if you think this isn't possible for you, or people that are working really, really hard at the moment for their marathon. But I bet you know someone who has finished a big race like a marathon and all they talked about is how little training they did. We all know people that have done that. We've all seen the posts. Ha ha, didn't do any training for this, but managed to do this marathon. Mm-hmm. And I just think if you're aiming to get to the finish line with no time in mind, that is doable on minimal training. Yeah, that is, because we've seen the people that do it. But running for a fast time is not. You can't do that on minimal training. You can't blag that. You can't just, I'm just going to go out there and just crack out a PB on no training. It can't be done. So I just think charity runners need to up your game a little bit. If you're going to run a marathon, fine, but run a marathon in this time, do the work for 6 months, because, that part of training for a race is training for a race. It's not just the event in 3 months' time. That's just a thing on its own that happens. It's a whole lead up to that. And loads of people are fantastic. Loads of people are really good at this. They put loads of stuff online. I've got some friends at the moment who are fundraising, and they're doing lots of posts about the running that they're doing, and they are showing that they are doing the work. And that's what I think that's what I like to see, is people that are doing the work in the lead up. It's not a single event. There's a whole load of stuff that goes into it, which in many ways is harder. And that's kind of what I like to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think as well, what are you sponsoring people for? So I see people that have entered their first marathon, or maybe they're doing London or whatever, and they are training, and you can see every week they're posting stuff, and then they're posting their donation link. Like, I totally get that. Awesome, because you can see how much of their time they are dedicating into putting this
and a first marathon is hard.
Yeah, and I think that's like how things used to be, more so, maybe more so for the days of social media as well. If you were doing something for charity, you do a lot of training around it, and you do your sort of publicity around that training. You do things like host your quiz nights or whatever to raise money alongside that, like all these things. Whereas I think nowadays, a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people are just post on social media, oh, I'm doing this thing, and like you say, they hardly do any training, and then they just want money from people to donate for charity. It's like, okay, but what are we donating for a day? For something you've done in a day? Like, it's far better to show how much time and energy you've dedicated to training for doing something, not half-arse it.
Yeah, I'm doing this half marathon. I'm like, yeah, but you did 6 of those last year. That's
the other thing.
Like, you doing your first marathon, that's something you might not be able to do. Yeah. That's really putting yourself out there. That's doing something hard that you might not be able to do.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing. When people are always running marathons and always raising money, and it's sort of, you get a bit of fatigue, sort of giving people money for things, especially if you do it loads of times before. Like, set yourself a bigger challenge. Set something that's actually going to challenge you. Don't, like a PB or some other sort of event. Don't just ask us to give money for something you do anyway. That would be like me going, oh, give me, I'm going to raise money running 10k. Like, I can run 10k, of course I can. It's not going to be a challenge. But I say, oh, give me money and I'll run 10k in 45 minutes. That's impossible.
No, I mean, nothing's impossible.
No, nothing's impossible.
I've always thought, to be honest, we have an odd relationship with charity, where someone's like, will you give money for this charity? And you're like, nah, I don't know. Oh, I'm going to do something difficult or inconvenient. Oh, in that case, yeah. If you're going to do something inconvenient, then I'll give money to a different. It's an odd way to give money to charity, and it's kind of almost worrying that that's what they have to rely on to get money. Yeah, we have to do odd things.
The few times I've used those charity websites, I'm not quite sure how they work and stuff anyway. Like, I'm not really sure how much of a cut they take and things like that. It's probably in the T's and C's, but I'm always a bit like, I'm always a bit concerned about that.
There's a controversial start to this podcast. Again, I've really tried to not be a dick about it, and I hope no one feels targeted or singled out by it. But as I said, I'm talking, they are, as I said, like extremes that get amplified on social media. Just kind of, the way I kind of see things. So I apologise if we have annoyed anyone, but would love to hear people's thoughts on this as well.
And I will say, the vast majority of people, I think everyone I follow that I know on my social media and stuff that are runners, when they're raising money for charity, they're doing it in the way I said, sort of, they're training. And then they're talking, and they're also talking about the cause that they're raising for. Like, they'll train and they'll post something about it, and they'll talk a little bit about the charity rather than just like a copy and paste from the charity's website. They'll say why it's meaningful to them or whatever it might be, which I also think is important. But yeah, so from my perspective, I'm definitely not targeting anyone I follow, because I haven't really seen any of those sort of glory hunters.
Yeah, it's something that I've definitely thought about recently. I respect the work that goes in a lot more recently. I think, events are one thing, but when you see runners doing the work in the lead up to it, that's what I enjoy more. I like that. And it's great to get a result. It's great to get something to hang on at the end. But to see those months and months of hard runs and those shit runs that they haven't enjoyed but are necessary, That's what I like to see.
And that's why I was toying with the idea of raising money for charity when I did the slam last year. Thank God I didn't. Would have been disastrous. But yeah, in my head,
Give all that money back.
Yeah, and I thought about the time I need to dedicate to the fundraising element of it, which is, you know, when I'm doing the runs, sort of publicising whatever cause I was raising money for and why it matters, rather than just like posting a link or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, it's hard work.
Yeah, I didn't want to do it and just like post a link and say, oh yeah, I'm doing this. Like if I do end up raising money for charity for anything that I do, it will be, you know, with a proper effort put in.
And I tell you what, if people are training at the moment and they're raising money for charity, drop us a message. Send us your sponsor link. We'll share it and we'll donate you a bit of money just to apologise for massively insulting you in the last 10 minutes or so.
Yep.
But don't be spreading this outside this podcast, okay? It's for you, the people that are listening, the good, honest people that are listening. And I'm saying this is, by the way, this is March 2024. If you're doing this way in the future, you won't get any money from us. But people that are doing it now, just for you guys that are actually listening in this month, let us know and we'll give you a little bit of a boost. Anyway, let's move on. And actually, most of the responses we had to the last episode, they come later on in this one. So let's move straight on to the tea update.
Yes.
Ooh. We are partnered with Bird and Blend Tea, which means we'll tell you what tea we're drinking if you like the sound of it. You can go to runningisbs.com/tea, click on the links and buy some tea if you want. We had a message from Vicky Cousins and she says, I am blaming you guys for me being a tea snob. I was already a coffee snob and I don't like normal tea. It smells weird and it tastes weird. However, the flavours of Bird and Blend teas lured me in. Now myself and my other fiance, oh, interesting, there's a whole story there. Let's get into that later. Drinking loose leaf tea every day. I ordered her the Valentine set as an excuse to order more and got myself the strawberry Nutella pancake tea. It smells awesome and tastes good too. Also got my sister on board and a work colleague. Tea snobs all around. Oh, see, we get you eventually.
Yeah, you better be sending our link or affiliate link to them.
Yeah, please do that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, even if you're a coffee snob, we will slightly forgive you for that, for getting into the tea. Amy, what are you drinking for this episode?
I've actually drank all of it now. Going after that very long intro rant. I have been drinking. I'm still on my matcha advent calendar. Today I opened one that I felt like today I've been naughty this weekend, so I had to give myself punishment. So I opened up the mince pie one, which I knew I wasn't going to like because I don't like mince pies. It was okay. It was kind of like almost it was kind of almost chai. So there was a bit of, obviously you might imagine, like a bit of a spice in there. So it wasn't, I could drink it and it was okay. Not my favourite, obviously, and I will say not because it's bad, but I don't like mince pies, so a bit of punishment for myself there, you know, a bit of punishment. I do that, speaking of coffee, I do that with my coffee, like, if I feel like I don't deserve it, I don't put any milk in my coffee, I just have it black, like, that's a serious coffee, and then if I've been good, I put a bit of milk in, maybe a bit of sugar as well, and that's a fun coffee as well.
Get the syrups, get the creams on there, everything.
Yeah. So this was a serious matcha. Yeah. How about you?
Good for you. I've got an entirely useless recommendation because I'm still drinking spiced pumpkin tea, and they won't be selling that again until about September or something. But basically, any spicy tea is always good. You know, I like those. Any spicy black tea. Have a go at runningisbs.com/tea. Buy some tea if you want.
You could buy yourself some punishment tea as well.
Buy yourself some punishment tea. Yeah. Find the tea that you like the least.
Yeah.
And buy some of that and have that when you don't deserve it.
Yeah. Oh,
you bad person.
What a narrative.
Yeah. Amy, what are you up to?
So I was supposed to go rad around the lakes yesterday. Didn't go. Spoiler alert. Didn't go. I hadn't really trained much, so I was already feeling a bit stressed about it. And I've mentioned this before, but I only passed my driving test in October, which is however many months ago, not many months ago. And I was planning on driving up and down in the same day. So I was like, oh, that's like the longest I've driven. So that was a bit stressing me out. I was like, oh God, drive all the way up there, like just under 2 hours, run 18 miles, which I'm not prepared to do, quite fast because it's like quite a fast race. So it won't be like a nice little stroll and some faffing. There will be stress involved getting around that course in time. And then I'd have to drive all the way back. So I was already a bit stressed about it. Then I saw the weather forecast and the race on Facebook was saying they might cancel, and the Friday before, they were going to go inspect the course and see if it was safe to run on. And I was like, please just fucking cancel it. They didn't cancel. They've gone ahead. And I could see the weather forecast, and I could see it was looking really cold, and I could see that the temperatures were below 0, and the fact that it had been raining, and I thought, I feel like it might be a bit icy, there was potential for snow, and I knew I was being a wimp, but I was like, I just don't fancy trying to drive up there as a new driver, in potential snow, in potential ice. I'm just gonna not do it, and yeah, just not do it. And I was feeling a bit like, have I been a wimp about this? Should I have gone up? And then I saw people's videos and pictures from the morning trying to get up there, and I'm quite glad that I did.
It looked grim. It starts 200 or 300 meters up in mid Wales, and it's very different weather when you get a little bit high like that. And it looked nasty. I did not fancy that one.
Yeah, and there were a lot of people. I mean, I don't know whether the route I would have gone would have been okay driving up there, but I don't know. But I saw lots of people on the Facebook page being like, we've had to turn around and go home because we just can't. Yeah. We can't get up there. Jen, Danger Harding, friend of the podcast, she was running it as well, so I was supposed to meet her up there, but obviously I didn't. She was also, like, wondering whether she should or shouldn't, like, didn't really know. She decided to do it in the end because she went up with a friend who convinced her, no, we're up here now, you've got to do it. She was staying for the weekend, they're like, got to do it. And she said it was absolutely horrendous, and there was pretty much a blizzard for the first 6 kilometres, which would have been
I've heard
uphill.
It was pretty much a whiteout for a lot of it.
Yeah, she said it was like, I messaged her the morning of, and I was like an hour before, and I was like, good luck. And then I texted her when I assumed she might have finished. I said, I hope it went okay. I didn't hear anything until about 3 p.m. and she just put, mate. Mate. She was like, it was horrendous. It was awful. So yeah, I'm kind of glad I didn't go. It was probably the right decision to make, and I was kind of relieved. I went for a run nearby to where I live, and I could see snow on the hills, even like down here. So I was finding that. Yeah, you could see up. Yeah, if you were anywhere a little bit high up, and you could see up to the hills in kind of the beacons. Yeah, you could see this. Actually, even below that in the valleys, you could see snow on the hills. That's what I could see, and I knew I'd have to be driving up through the beacons and the valleys to get there, and I was like, I'm glad.
It was only about. I think the snow line was only about 200 meters, 250 meters or something. So yeah, it was. You would have been in snow for a lot of that.
Yeah.
Not worth it.
Nope, not at all. But before that, so the week before, me and Jen decided to do, we attempted to do a 16-mile training run for a run around the lakes. And I stole a really nice circular route from our previous guest, Ben Jones, up in the Dare Valley, which is in Aberdare. I love that feature of Strava. I think it's only available on the paid-for Strava, but you can take other people's routes. Like, I have so many people's routes saved. I downloaded this 16-mile circular route. It has been, as everyone knows who's living in the UK at the moment, absolutely pissing it down continuously. I mean, it's lovely sunshine today, but it's been pissing it down for years now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And that day was no exception. Absolutely pissing it down. I got the train up there because there's like a direct train up to Aberdare from where I live, and I got soaked even just going to the train, like absolutely soaked. I just jogged over to the train, and the rain was so hard that my waterproof, by the time I got to the train, which is a mile away, the train station from where I live, my waterproof was no longer waterproof even at that point. It was that horrible, like, heavy rain. Sat on the train for an hour, still hadn't dried out properly. So it was that horrible thing of when I got there, I was already wet before starting the run itself. Yeah. Love that. So we attempted this route. It looked like a really nice route despite it absolutely pissing it down, being really windy. We only made it 4 miles when we got to this river that was, you know when the river's like, when they say like the river's raging, that's what it was doing. It was raging.
It was raging. Absolutely fuming.
It was just, you could see there was obviously a bit where you're supposed to walk across, like a concrete bit that I'm sure in the summer is maybe even dry, but you know, Ben texted me afterwards and said, that was just a stream when I did it, which was a few weeks before that he'd done it. But it wasn't. It was fast, and I put a video on my Instagram because Jen's typical Jen. That's why her middle name's Danger. Was like, it'll be fine.
Yeah, we did share that on the Instagram on the stories of you guys trying to cross that, and you're like, no, come on. She's like, it'll be fine.
So what I didn't capture because I turned my phone off. And I'm glad that I took the video rather than doing it live, because people must have, if I'd just done it straight onto Instagram rather than upload it afterwards, I bet people would have thought we were dead, which nearly happened. So Jen got to the middle of this crossing, and at this point, and the water's flowing so fast, and it's almost up to her knees. And she was looking back at me, going, "It's fine." I'm like, she's like, "It's fine, it's fine." And she attempts to go a little further because she was turning back and going, "Are you going to come?" And I'm like, "I'm going to wait till you get across, I think." And she turned around and she took one more step forward, and I just saw like her face just completely drop, and she was like, "This is not okay." Like the fear in her eyes, because I think she could feel the water like slowly starting to take her legs away.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I was like, just come back. You come this far, you can come back. Just come back. And we managed to get her back. But in that moment, just the fear in her eyes in the middle of this like raging river that's literally up round her knees was ridiculous. And we should have known better than to even attempt it. We thought we'd try and carry on. So there was a path going along the side of the river. So we followed that down, and we hoped that maybe there'd be another crossing or something, like an actual bridge, or maybe just somewhere else we could cross. Got to another bit where I attempted this time to walk across, but it was one of those things where like the stones were really slippery as well. This wasn't a concrete thing; it was stones underneath. So I got up to my knees, and it started getting faster, and I was like, "No, this isn't worth it. This really, really isn't worth it. Like one wrong step, and we're being like, yeah." We're going.
Yeah.
We're being like.
You're gonna have to come back across it later on as well.
Yeah, and I thought afterwards as well, because it's like I say, it's only 4 miles in. So I was thinking, but even if we got across this one, who's to say there isn't another one further down or something?
Yeah.
We don't really sort of get trapped and have to come back across. So in the end, yeah, we decided to turn back, and I managed to slip over quite spectacularly in a field full of sheep, and properly skid. Like there was a skid mark on the floor. So it's one of those things where I slipped. I wasn't even running, I was walking at this point. I slipped, my feet went from beneath me, slipped over, and then I skid down the field a bit as well. So it was quite spectacular. Excellent. Yeah.
And the sheep obviously tried not to laugh because they know your reputation and thought, well, we don't want to mess with her too much.
Yeah, exactly. And it was that part, for anyone who's done the Celtic races before, it's that part where there's also a sheer drop on one side. So this field is like right on the edge of the valley, and there's just a sheer drop on the other side. So yeah, that was a bit gnarly down there.
That's fun. Yeah. Again, that video, I watched it, and like you are talking to Jenny, like, are you okay? And she's like, I think on the video, she just has to go, it is quite strong. Yeah. And like, the thing is, up to just below your knees, that is more than enough to take you off your feet. I know. And it doesn't feel like it should be, because you think, well, you know, your legs are quite skinny, and it's not, you know, walking go around that surely, but no, that can knock you off your feet.
Yeah.
Quite easy. I think it's only like a foot of water you can float a car, so that can take you off your feet easy. Yeah,
and the first crossing, I think we thought it might be okay because it was like a solid thing underneath. But as soon as it started, getting up to her knees, and it was the middle bit, which is obviously the fastest flowing bit.
Yeah.
And it was like, nah. And I was thinking, how am I going to get across? Like, I'm a good few inches shorter than Jen.
Yeah, with no poles, it's not worth it.
Yeah, that's the other thing as well. So, and even, like I say, even if we got across, doing the full 16 miles would have been a bit grim. But it seemed like a nice route, and I'd love to go back. There was this amazing bit of trail just before we got to the river, and it was like nothing I've ever seen before. It was on the side of it was a tree line on the side of the field, and the trail cut through the tree lines. So you're not in the woods, it's a tree line between two fields, and they just sort of arch over the trail, and the trail itself was quite dry compared to all the other mud. It was like that really soft sort of mud underneath with all like pines and stuff in it, and it was and it was like this gentle downhill.
Oh, that's nice.
And it was really nice and magical, and then we had to walk back up it. Yeah. So I would like to go back when it's dry, because it seemed like a nice route if we weren't cut off by a raging river.
Yeah, February in the UK has been horrific. I think Cardiff had the record amount of rain for February with about 10 days to go in February. It was so bad, and it's just everywhere. It's been awful. We've had lots of photos from Gabby Nair doing her beaver challenge, and it was actually muddy this year after being completely dry last year. She has had a marathon's worth of mud, and I think everyone everywhere has just had a horrible time trying to run this month. So well done to everyone doing their marathon training, and anyone trying to do trail runs this month. It's not been great.
Yeah, I'm just getting sick of my feet being wet all the time and trying to dry shoes off, and also rinsing shoes off because they're like fucking bogging, absolutely disgusting. And then you rinse them off, and then
you put them back on and they're still wet.
Yeah. Oh, that is the worst feeling.
Ugh,
and I've been doing it like when I'm going to work as well, and put my coat on, it's still slightly wet. I'm like, oh my god, gross. Anyway, speaking of mud, what have you been up to?
I've had some mud. Cross country again, last one of the season, and I actually had a race on this time because there was 4 of us from our club doing this one. And one of the other guys in one of the WhatsApp groups I'm in, he came out directly said, I want to beat the other guy. So I'm like, obviously I always want to beat everyone else. And like none of the fast boys were there, so it was good. It was quite an even, on paper, quite an even one. And he had said he wants to beat everyone. So I was like, right, here we go. Put the young lads in their place. Cross country at Pontypool Park. So much mud, again, similar to Markham Park a few weeks ago. This was a much hillier route with some horrendous camber as well. So much of it, you'd like run up a hill, then turn a corner. So there'd still be as much hill, but you're running across it instead of up it or down it. And there was just some sections that I know people were like literally running into trees, or they had to use a tree to stop themselves from falling all the way down a hill. Because at one point I cut across this muddy section. I thought, right, I'll cut across because I think there might be some grip at the bottom there. But I just went across and I just kept going, and I can't stop myself going down this hill. And there was some people the other side of the tape, and I slipped. And at one point, they all jumped back because they thought I was about to take them out.
Oh God!
It was so hard. Horrible course, really hard work. The 4 of us at the start line who said, right, okay, we'll run together if we can, we'll work together, see if we can help each other out. That lasted until the first corner, where we completely lost each other and didn't see each other for the rest of the race, apart from to cross over, and we did a couple of high fives on some of the Aaron backs, which is quite nice. And good news, I beat all the younger lads, and I'm pretty sure they are all faster than me in a straight line in a normal race, but the wise old man experience of mud and hills helped me out, so I was very, very pleased with that. I'm fitter than I was last year, and I did this course 3 minutes slower than I did last year, so it was a lot harder. Shout out to Jonathan Carter, who came up to see me. I think first time we've actually managed to meet each other. I think we've just missed each other a couple of times. So yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much for coming over. The man who saved Pippin's life in Wentwood Forest.
Oh yes, yeah.
Amy had entirely forgotten who you were. Sorry, Jonathan.
You know what? I do know. It wasn't that I've forgotten Jonathan.
You would have
Carter.
recognised the dog, wouldn't you?
No, I would have recognised him, and I think we follow each other on Instagram now. I think I've blocked the memory of losing Pippin out of my mind. It was so traumatic. So I've just put the 2 and 2 together because I would recognise Jonathan Carter if I saw him. But yeah, Pippin's rescuer, Pippin's hero. Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for coming on. I hope you enjoyed that as well. The next day, this morning, went for another trail run in the mud. With hills again. It wasn't a race at least, but God, again, that was something we say. We need to stop doing these episodes on Sunday evenings and afternoons because I'm just fucking knackered again. So I'm trying to get through this as best I can, then I can go to bed again. So that'll be nice. This again, running in all this mud this month has just been so hard. Can't wait for 3-4 weeks time. It'll get a bit warm. We can complain about that instead.
I keep scrolling through my weather app, like scrolling along, seeing when the rain stops, and it just doesn't.
Yeah.
It just doesn't stop. And everywhere's fucking flooded and gross, and I hate it. Absolutely hate it.
I did the Green Man Ultra last year in summer. One of the reasons I didn't do it the winter version, because I've seen some of the photos, and it's just happened again, and I've seen some of the photos, and people are literally wading up to their waists.
Oh, God.
I know that sounds dramatic and you feel like I square. No, people are up to their waists in water, in like the rivers burst its banks. I don't know why they didn't go round, frankly. These people have just gone straight through, and it's just like, I would not be wading up to my waist in an ultra. Like in a 10k, yeah, I would, because it'd be funny. But when I'm out for the rest of the day, good for you hardcore people, because I would not be doing that. That's why I did not do the winter version of that race. It looks awful. If anyone has done awful races this month, please let us know about them.
If you want to support us doing shit races, you can donate money to our Patreon, and we'll sing you a song which has your name in. Great. Max Carnage said, had to pause the Patreon song to come here to say that whilst Amy has clearly never heard Sophie Ellis-Bextor sing Murder on the Dance Floor, she clearly received the Saltburn note loud and clear when she got to a certain Patreon supporter's name. Yeah, thank you. That was harder. No pun intended, or maybe pun intended. That song was harder than it sounded to get in time.
No, to be fair, it did sound very difficult the way you did it. Victoria Dick also messaged to say that is the longest dick we've had for a while.
Hey.
To which I say, speak for yourself. Let's hear the song this month and see how long the dick is this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6. Nicky Jones, Francis Howell, Tom Alcock, Jay, Cleddy Ned, Tony Howells, AP Victoria Cousins, Spencer Aldred, Andy Robbins, H. Amanda Murray Hine, Matt Garner, Anthony Howe, Len Martin, Sophie Jakes, Debbie Hurley, Elizabeth Chapin, Bernadette McCarthy, James Lampert, Daniel Braun, Kat Abigail, Hardman, Graham, Hackman, Jewel Running, Adam Baker, Kel Ryder, Neil Denton, Catherine Fenton, Claire Davis, Steve Robson, Noms Dawson, Madron Stewart, Stevens, Paul Hibbert, Rich Skirm, Derry, Karen Hamilton, Kath Everard, Matt, Jesse Yoski, Sherry Grubbs, Ivor Hewitt, Sherry Kinnison, Leewood, Brian Simpson, Cheryl Current, David Yellow, Mac Tito, Karen Blay, Shambolic Adult, Dawn Shepherd, Martin Jersey, Jay Howells, Penny, Simpson, Gale, Seal, Ian Thompson, Nicky Genders, Gordy Thelwell, Clark Gilmore, Liz Reese, Leah Line, Maria Wicks, Luke, Daniel, Martin Kaplan, Alice Newstead, Jason Spinks, Charlie Neverson, Jonathan Carter, Angela Foster Swales, Carl Fleming, Matt Lees, Aaron Shaw, Rachel Bentley, Julia Page, Jenny Tamasebi, Andy Nichols, Raymond Quinn, Matt H, Gregory C, Sophie Nichols, Matt Burrows, David Owen, Bruce KP, Vicky Robin, Victoria Magnus McAfee, Rachel Bullmore, Ian Hales, Gabby Thomas Nayer, Sandra Heinzer, Kiara Evans, Larry Warren, Matt Newberry, Lisa Gibbon, Victoria Dick. Don't forget to get in touch with your running bullshit on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Just search Running is BS and let us know why you particularly hate running this week. Somebody's done that. Has said hello from California.
Oh my God.
Ooh. You have to be impressed by California.
International.
Very exciting. She says, I love the podcast and very much appreciate the Kvetch Fest every show. Kvetch isn't a word we use enough, is it?
Is it Yiddish?
I think so, something like that.
What does it mean?
It just means to complain persistently, or it's can be used as a noun, as a person who complains a great deal. Amy, you're such an old Kvetch.
Oh, thank you.
I need to use much more Yiddish slang in my life, I feel.
Yes, yeah, they have words for very specific things that I think is great. Yeah.
Erica says, I thought I'd write in with my running BS story to contribute. Thank you very much. I'm training for my first ultra. Thank you to Amy for being an ongoing inspiration that if you can do it, we can too. Which, bit of a backhanded compliment, which is our favourite kind.
Yes, yeah,
if
love
Amy can do it, God.
You know what? People have said that to me in real life as well. I don't want to sound funny, but I saw you did that, and I thought, well, why can't I? Thanks.
Thank you.
That's a different type of inspiration, isn't it?
Yeah. Eric said the training plan had been the longest run of 22 miles, scheduled for a weekend. We'd be out camping. No problem. Only an hour away was a lovely trail network in the start of the Sierra Nevada mountains. Great elevation gain for training purposes. Sounds perfect. Start out on this new to me trail, lovely scenery, but fail to realise when the route has 5,500 feet of elevation gain, but starts at 2,000 feet, and Southern California has had an unusual amount of rain recently, it is no longer rain at that elevation. I got maybe 5 miles up the mountain before the only way I could follow the trail was due to some dirt bikers who had ploughed a tiny path through the snow. And at 6.5 miles, they had evidently decided to head back down the mountain because there was no more trail to follow, just snow. She did attach a picture for reference and says, maybe I'm just an inexperienced SoCal resident, but I don't see any trail here, just sloped mountain and fallen trees. Nah, that's runnable. There's a path there, definitely.
Yeah, that's fine.
On top of that, I didn't have any Gore-Tex shoes, because why would you in Southern California? I was starting to run out of nutrition since the way up was so much harder than anticipated, and my water tasted funny. I cut my run. I mean, water always tastes funny in the bottle because your bottle is always full of mold, so that's fine.
Yeah,
that's
you're always
Don't
like
worry about
microdosing black mold, aren't you, when you're drinking your water? So I love it.
Fine. I cut my run short and headed back down the mountain, falling once I reached dirt, so it hurt way more than if I'd fallen in the snow. Despite all the other things that went wrong, I'm convinced the real culprit of my failed run was the damn snow. I don't know how you guys do it in part of the world with weather and snow on a regular basis, but kudos to everyone out there. As far as I'm concerned, snow is bullshit. Cheers, Erica. Well, as we heard from Amy earlier, how we deal with that is just by not doing it.
Yeah, Just see, look at the weather forecast and be like,
Nah.
we'll leave that. We'll leave that. And the issue is like that looks like I don't know. I don't really know my snow, but that looks like quite nice powdery snow. A lot of places in the UK, especially down south, you don't really get much snow, so you end up with just some icy, sleety shit that you just slip around all over.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I guess the problem with that is you could run for a mile and it would just all look exactly the same.
Yeah.
And you would never find your way back.
That is the danger, I guess. Yeah, especially in the Sierra Mountains.
If you can't follow the trails, you don't want to fuck around there because I think they have lions there and
Tigers and bears. Oh my!
all kinds of shit. Yeah, you don't want to deal with that.
Vicky Cousins has also been in touch and said today was 16 miles of mud, glorious mud. Pleased with that, although there were BS styles, none of them were metal. Muddy wooden ones was enough, thanks. They can sometimes be just as dangerous, can't they? Not as bad as metal, but like the muddy ones, especially when there's already a bit of mud on them as well. Most BS part of the race, trying to untie train laces that are covered in mud when you want to get your damp muddy kit off to put on something warm and dry. Yes, I hate that. I hate that. I hate taking damp muddy kit off.
Sorry, I'm a little confused by that. Untying laces.
Yeah.
Is that a thing people do?
I skipped over that bit because I thought it was a bit mad.
Don't you just you just pull them off and then just mash your foot into it and smash the back of it to pieces when you try and put them back on? That's normal, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Don't be bothering untying laces, waste time.
Absolute waste of time. I think Nicola Kelly is responding to our Runfluencing chat. It says, "Gah, I can't stand the reels that go, here's how I look at the start of running 20k. I then cut back to them looking exactly the same, saying, here's me finishing my 20k with a V sign emoji, because that's, you have to do that, don't you? Mm-hmm. Total cringe every time."
Yep.
In other news, I think it was your last episode where Amy talked about dangerous metal styles. I found this beauty on my run this week. I mean, it looks glorious, but now I'm luckily fully educated on the imminent risks and perils of climbing such a dangerous metallic beast. I approached with extreme caution, fearing for my life, took it slowly and treated it with the respect it deserved. I'm happy to report I made it over in one piece, even in extremely muddy conditions. I was still alive at the end of the run and able to record my "here's me finishing 20k" piece to the camera, V sign emoji. Thanks, running is bullshit. And this is a very elaborate metal style with like the step has got like, it's got a compass on there. It's got like local information about a forge in 1784 and showroom workshop 230 paces down Foundry Lane. Mm-hmm. It's a lovely elaborate one, but it would make a lovely imprint of all these words on your face when you fell on it.
Yeah, that would be a good "here's me after running 20k" video. I think the other thing is those words do add a bit of grip. I think that's a good idea.
I guess they would, yeah.
Because when I was talking the other week about that style, that was smooth. That was smooth.
Yeah, if you put your foot on the top of that style or on any of those bars, your foot's disappearing.
Yeah, 100%.
Straight off to the side.
Yeah.
And if you are looking for a PB, Andy Barr sent us just the thing you need. Never mind new shoes or a lightweight vest. What you need is sunglasses. Here's an advert with the headline, "Break personal bests with Bisphera." Bisphera? Why have you come up with a name that no one can pronounce? This is a versatile frame that offers all the benefits needed for sport and life. Bisphera is designed to push your runs to the next level.
How?
They are sunglasses. They will not. They do not improve your running.
No. I don't understand. Push your runs to the next level. I don't get it.
They offer all the benefits needed for life. So they will bring you water and food and shelter as well. These glasses will protect you. And what makes it even better is something I didn't notice. It's something that Ben noticed as well when I showed him this. In the second image on this, there's a guy looking enigmatically off camera with his glasses on. He's wearing an Oakley's hat. I mean, come on. If you're setting up a sunglass business, don't have the brand leader logo in your photos as well. Come on.
The thing is, though, like, these look like quite nice sunglasses that I could imagine buying, but this wankery in terms of the description puts me off. Like, sunglasses to sunglasses, like, tell us, are they polarized, that sort of thing, and then just show us them, because most people are going to go for sunglasses that are properly polarized, and they're going to go for the look. We don't need all this other stuff. Just give us the technical details, and not the made-up technical details, the actual technical details.
Don't tell me it's going to make me run faster. It's not. That is a lie.
Just show me a picture of them, and then I'll say whether I want, and tell me about the UV protection from them, and then I'll decide. Because they're quite nice looking sunglasses, but it puts me off. All this bullshit puts me off.
Sunglasses are a big thing now, aren't they, in running? That seems to be like the new big thing to push. Like everyone needs different types of sunglasses now.
Yeah.
It's the new like carbon shoe, I'm sure.
I was ahead of the curve because I used to always wear sunglasses when I was running, but I don't really do it anymore because I've just hardened the fuck up and I just look at the fucking sun now and be like,
You don't give a shit.
Yeah, and also it used to make me feel a bit dizzy as well because it used to reflect the sun. Probably my sunglasses were just shit because I used to wear like £2 ones from Primark, but the sun used to, as I was running, the sun would like reflect in weird ways within the sunglasses itself, which I'm sure these fancy ones don't do.
You need a Bice Vera like partnership or something there.
Yeah. Also, I used to look like a wanker because I'd be wearing my cap on backwards, which I used to keep my hair out my eyes, and then I'd have sunglasses on, and it's sort of like put your hat on forward and then you won't need sunglasses sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I was also quite self-conscious about that. But I think
what you're saying is you invented running with sunglasses.
I did, and now I've realised you're just an absolute fucking pussy if you wear sunglasses when you run. Man up and look at the fucking sun. Sort it out.
That is the takeaway from this episode, everyone.
It's the bullshit running news. It's been a slow news week.
We did so well last time.
I know. And also I found a story and I sent it to you. I'm like, did we do this last week? You're like, yep. Okay.
That was clearly memorable.
Yep. So first we have a story from the Shropshire Star. And the headline is, why a quote-unquote dragon, just so you don't get confused and think it was a real dragon, was seen running through fog alongside the Bridgnorth bypass.
Now, I'm going to throw this out there straight away and to say, was it someone just running in a costume?
It was. There's a great pitch though. It's very atmospheric.
It is very atmospheric, to be fair.
It's like, it's quite interesting. But as you might imagine, somebody in a
Don't
dragon...
you love how regional news can just like make a story out of basically anything?
Yeah. But you just know there'd be people on Nextdoor and Facebook being like, did anyone see that dragon on the bypass?
And loads of people just typing in follow.
Careful,
because they want to find out what's going on.
Yep, careful, it's a scam. Don't.
Yeah, watch out. It's just kids probably trying to steal things.
Yep. So the article reads that an unusual sight greeted early morning motorists and pedestrians on the Bridgnorth bypass as one of the town's residents was getting in some training for this year's Bridgnorth Walk. So keen runner Dana Power, 67, has run
great name.
I know.
Dana Power.
I know. Has run numerous marathons as well as the town's annual walk in fancy dress, including as Puff the Dragon, which I think is this outfit here, unless it's another fictional dragon he's sort of dressing up as. Despite suffering a heart attack in 2020, the 67-year-old continues to don the 15-kilogram dragon outfit. That is very heavy.
Yeesh.
And raises thousands for charity. So he is running this year's Bridgnorth Walk for Severn Hospice and has been spotted training in his dragon costume around the town over the last few weeks. That's the person I want to sponsor.
Yeah, absolutely. That's putting in the work.
Yeah.
That is putting in the work. Oh, I didn't know it was a man. It was Dana.
Yeah.
I thought Dana Power sounds like a great comic strip name, doesn't it?
I've never heard Dana or Donna. I've never heard that as a man's name, so I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Probably not.
It could be, as a lot of these regional news sites, and it's probably just a typo because those do creep in quite a lot.
That's what I thought as well. So I went through the article, but they're referred to as he several times, but maybe it's a continuing typo.
They could spell the name wrong as well. It could just be Dan.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Love it.
Sub-editing is not always up to scratch on these sites, bless.
Yeah,
the poor people have to work there. And it really has been a slow news week. Next story is from the Mirror, and the headline is, joggers in quaint village suddenly have a very unusual running partner. And this very unusual running partner is a wild pheasant they have named Fez.
Very much.
Jasper Copping, 46, runs every weekday morning through Shotsham, Norfolk, and in the last 2 weeks noticed he wasn't alone. Joining him has been a pheasant, keeping Mr. Copping's pace as he runs alongside a field on the outskirts of the village. The father of two said he wasn't the only runner to have been accompanied by the bird. He's named Fez, and has spoken to others who have also become fond of him. This man from Norfolk said, I have never seen a pheasant behave like this. I first noticed him about 2 weeks ago keeping pace next to me in the field by the road. He has done it on every run since then. I call out for him as I approach, and I usually see him waiting in the undergrowth by the side of the road or on the field next to the road. That's it. That's the whole quote. The man sees a pheasant. He goes for a run and he's seen a pheasant. And I know I'm no expert on pheasant behaviour. I will admit that. I feel like that's just like that pheasant's field, and he's making sure you're not coming in.
Yeah. I feel like that's what those sort of birds do.
It's just like, yeah, all right, keep running, fuck off. It's like when you run through a farm, and there's a collie there looking at you like, yeah, just keep moving, and there'll be no trouble. Yeah. He's just escorting you away from the area.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh no, it's a friend.
In a village in Norfolk, that's big news.
Yep, clearly. Headline news.
Oh, yes.
I love the picture of it as well. I love how grainy it is. I know that modern day technology hasn't quite reached Norfolk.
On the move.
That's on the move.
He's a fast-moving pheasant.
Yeah, he's also like been taken on a digital camera from 2001 as well. So.
Yeah, it's good to know they're still around.
Anyway, Stuart, what have you got coming up next?
Breck for races. Again, this is the race company I'm working for now. We're out in Carmarthenshire. I'll be driving around a forest in a hire van. So what could possibly go wrong? Trying to find marshals and checkpoints and random dirt roads and try not to crash a van. That'll be exciting. How hard can that be?
Yes. And how
about you?
I'll be running away from said van because I am doing the...
Hopefully you won't need to be in the van.
Hopefully not, no. Yeah, I'm doing the Breck for... the half marathon now. I was going to do the marathon. I'd signed up for the marathon, but my train's been shit. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to put myself through that. I'm just going to do the one loop. And I emailed Ridge Runners and I'm like, please, can I drop down to the half marathon if that's okay? And they said, yep, of course, that's absolutely fine. You're more than welcome to. So
that's good.
Nice.
You know what we should mention? Something we forgot last time is your plan for the year, and your slam plan has not come quite around again.
Yes, yeah. So maybe I can go to this in another episode. I've been having like various health issues, which means my training, if you look at my Strava training, that graph, it is like the Patagonia logo. It's not good. It's not consistent. So I just knew I was just going to struggle through the slam again, which is not what I want to do. I actually want to have like a good go at it this time. So I messaged Reese Jenkins, the lovely Reese Jenkins from Pegasus, and said, is there any possibility of deferring the whole slam? And he's like, yeah, of course you can defer this whole slam. I want you to succeed. I'm like, what a lovely man. What a true gent. So yeah, so I've opted to just defer the slam till next year. I mean,
he probably put the phone down. He's like, fuck's sake, right, I've got to do all this admin again now.
Yes, I mean,
God.
You know, it's great as well because he's like, oh, if you want to still do some trail running though, you can come and be a tail runner for some of the events. I'm like, that is actually a really good idea. So I've signed up to be a tail runner for the Vogum, the Pigum, and the Ridham because they're all fairly close by, which I think might be really cool actually to get.
So you're still going to do 3 ultras?
I'm certainly not running the whole fucking Vogum. That's one thing. The Pigum, maybe I'll try and run the whole thing. I don't know. See how I feel.
Well, if not, you can just be at the back with the back run and just be like, come on, look at your watch a few times, being like, oh, this bit's runnable. Come on.
Yeah, come on. Or
do you not train?
Yeah, run a bit ahead and be like, come on, keep going, Jesus.
We run this bit, we can get there before dark. God.
Yeah, God. Yeah,
that's the way to do it, I think.
Yeah, that's what all tail runners should do. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I hadn't even thought about that. I know that Pegasus have tail runners, and Reese is just like, yeah, you just do as much or as little as you like. I'm assuming you get assigned between checkpoints, and if you want to carry on beyond that checkpoint, you can. I assume. I don't know yet. I don't know what the crack is, but I'm assuming that's what it's like. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But I do have something planned for this year. Well, going into early next year, but it's top secret. Is it top secret?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah,
I think it's top secret. I don't want somebody to steal it off me.
And also, it's like a year away, so let's not over-egg it now. Because what we've said in this episode, we don't want you to build that up.
No, top secret.
You know what? At least you had a go, Amy.
Yeah, exactly. At least I had my inspirational story. But I've got like other race stuff signed up for this year. I'm quite looking forward to doing some shorter trail races, sort of half marathons and stuff. I think I went in too quick back into the slam because I was so annoyed about failing the Edam. But it was too soon.
You told me like you weren't going to do the slam this year, which sorry, for people that haven't caught up, but that's 6 ultras in a year with Pegasus. And as soon as you told me that, then you kept messaging me about, I'm going to enter this marathon, and now I'm going to enter this marathon, and I've got this other marathon. I'm like, what? You're not taking it that easy then?
No. No, I went, to be fair, I haven't entered any marathons. I've entered half marathons. So yeah. So it's going to be a bit easier. And the tail run with Pegasus, that will be nice. But 6 ultras in 6 months again, it's too soon. It's too soon. It's definitely too soon.
That's fair. Do some shorter races and enjoy them, and then you can
Yeah.
have a shit year next year instead.
Yeah, and again, like, shout out to Reese at Pegasus, because they're really good with stuff like that. They're really understanding, and yeah.
We like that.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, if you've enjoyed this bullshit, you can visit runningisbest.com, see our show notes, links from this episode, learn all about Fez the Pheasant, and the rest of the back catalogue, as well as links to our Patreon, our merch store, and our social medias. Thank you, and goodbye or something.
Bye. Man up and look at the fucking sun.